guys, MCU Collector here with video number 3 in the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, Spider-Man Wave 11 Kingpin Build-A-Figure. Next up is Puma. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't actually know who Puma is. So even though Spider-Man is my favorite character, I don't know everything about Spider-Man, his entire rogues gallery, or anything, all of his villains. There's some things that I don't know. So I'm actually going to look up some information on here so I have a better understanding of who he is. It actually looks like a pretty cool figure, and I think this is one that people were actually pretty excited about in otherwise a kind of boring wave. You know, lots of complaints and lots of people that just think it's not a great wave. Great Build-A-Figure, but a poor wave. But some people are excited about this one and Night Thrasher. So those two I'm going to have to really look into a little bit. But this one's pretty cool. I like, I do and I don't like when Hasbro poses figures inside of the package. The reason why I don't like it is typically some of the joints tend to get warped. And then you're going to have to do the heat treatment and get it kind of straightened back. You know, it's not always the case, but in many cases it'll be that way. I have a feeling this thing's going to happen because he is really posed in there. And what I really like is because the torso piece to Kingpin is so large, they had to put it on its side and have Puma on top of it. And it actually makes for a really cool looking package of a figure, so not bad. But you can see Marvel's Puma down there, Spider logo up at the top, Kingpin. Now here on the side of the artwork, it's not too colorful, but I think that's because, you know, Puma, he's in his brown tan color, but it's really washed out with a lot of red. So this one didn't quite get the whole color treatment that the other packages did, but it still does look pretty good. Now here on the back of the package, we have the promo shot of the figure, and you see we have all 7 figures in the wave to complete Kingpin, and again Puma comes with the torso piece. Now let's check out that bio. Okay, and the bio for Puma reads, the genetically engineered Thomas Fireheart can transform himself into a half mountain lion, half human, known as Puma. Okay, so pretty interesting so far. It'll be nice to kind of do a little bit of research and check into kind of what he's really all about there, and if I can get that UPC to focus in. There is the UPC for you guys. Now let's open up Puma. I'll do some research on him and then we'll talk about the figure. Okay guys, here is the Puma figure out of the package, or Thomas Fireheart. So I did look up a little bit on who he is as a character. He was once a villain to Spider-Man, then he was an ally to Spider-Man. He once owned the Daily Bugle and then sold it back. But while he owned it, he tried to give the Daily Bugle he tried to give Spider-Man a good appearance, I guess, by being pro-Spider-Man, whereas J. Jonah Jameson was very anti-Spider-Man, and a couple of other things. He is Native American descent, which would explain the feathers in his hair and then on his armband there, which I kind of assumed, but reading and checking up on it just only confirmed that. But one thing that I could not figure out, I could not find, and you guys let me know down in the comments below if you guys know the answer to this, because hopefully you do. His belt piece has an E on it. I have no idea what that E is supposed to represent. If you guys know, please let me know down in the comments below. Pretty interesting character, but again, it's not somebody that I was aware of. But it sounds like he has a decent history within the comics. I believe he came out in 1984, so he's definitely been around. Now, as far as the figure, there's a couple of reused parts. Well, actually, the whole thing's all reused parts. Basically, what we're seeing is the Spider UK body, the torso, and the legs. The arms and the feet are the same from the Jackal figure from the Sandman Build-A-Figure wave. So we knew that if Hasbro was going to give us a brand new figure that was in that furry mold for the Jackal, that they would reuse those parts for a different character. And here they did it with Puma. And it makes complete and total sense. And it does come out looking good. Now the figure itself is actually a pretty solid figure. The head sculpt is great. You guys will see it when we get into the close-up look at it. Again, it's just the whole thing of not really being familiar with the character, but the figure itself is actually really good. But watch out for some QC issues, because as we take a closer look, I'll show you what's going on the back of my figure. So it's pretty interesting. So I will go over the articulation pretty quick, so you could see it. His head, he can look all the way down, can look all the way up. He has a lot of pivot in there, which is great. Shoulders can go all the way up, even more so, which is great. Full rotation, of course. Upper bicep swivel. You get a double jointed elbow, and mine is a little gummy, and I don't know if it's going to be the same with everyone's. It seems more gummy and rubbery than my Jackal figure, so I don't know if it's just the type of plastic that they're using now, or if it's the color, or what's kind of causing that for my figure. Anyway, the wrists swivel, and they do hinge. He has an ab crunch, which crunches down that much, so very good movement there. He ab crunches back quite a bit, so a great movement there as well. You have a waist swivel there, but the way the position the belt is, it kind of messes that up, so you can kind of move that around so you can get him to twist as much as you want. His legs go out that far apart. You get an upper thigh cut there. You have a double jointed knee, which gives you that much movement there. There is no boot cut. Ankle pivots up that much, pivots down quite a bit, or hinges up, hinges down, and then has ankle pivot. And this fur that's down here on the lower leg, that is a separate floating piece that would be able to remove. And actually, there is the boot cut in there now that I see that. So these bands were covering that up. Now let's take a closer look at the figure, because the highlight of this thing is the head sculpt, which actually looks really good. So we got to give some kudos to Hasbro for what they did here. Okay, so here's a close-up look at the Puma figure, and you can see that the head sculpt is pretty awesome. From the sculpt to the paint on this figure, it looks great. So one thing that I did read that is not on this figure, though, is that in Puma form he has red eyes. The figure does not have red eyes. It looks like they are green. Not the Nick Fury Kree theory, that's not really real thing, green, but just a green color for the peoples there. But you can see that they did paint on the scar on his face, on the right side of his face, which is in the comics I read that he does have that. Now I have a little bit of a brown spot up there above his right eyebrow that kind of missed the mark, but the way they put in the wash, the shading, the dark, the reddish brown over the tan, the orange color of his hair comes out looking really good. The sculpt of the feathers in his hair is really good, and then there's a little bit of added white over the red paint for them there, and it's done in a very soft, pliable rubber material, so I want to be careful you don't bend that too much so they break off. But the sculpt is really good. Now this figure also, because he has the open jaw, has the same thing going for him that they did with the Sabretooth figure, except on this figure I think for my figure at least anyway, they've really perfected on how they're gluing the two pieces together and really getting it to line up. You could see the line of the molds, but there's no gaps, which is really good. Unlike the Sabretooth, where some were good, some were bad. Maybe that's going to be the case with Puma. Maybe I just got lucky, but this bottom jaw piece is on there pretty good, and I'm not getting any gaps, so I'm very pleased with that. And the reason why they do a separate piece is so they can have that open mouth feature where you can actually see all the way in there, and he's got teeth sculpted in, and they painted all the teeth, whereas the roof of his mouth is red along with his tongue. So there's a lot of detailed work in there, so I really do like the way that looks. Now, one of the accessories, or the only accessory that Puma comes with, is he has this necklace that can just be removed, and it's just a very soft rubber material done with a off-white bone color, because I guess these are bones, a bone necklace, and it just sits on him like so. It just kind of dangles there, so not bad. This band with the feather on it is a separate floating piece, so you can move that around, but it fits perfectly over his bicep there, so you don't really get a whole lot of motion into it. Again, there's the belt. Again, let me know if you know what that E stands for, because I have no idea. I would really like to know. So here I had mentioned the QC issue. So I don't know what was going on with mine here, but I have some kind of flaking, and I don't know if that's paint. Looks like part of my torso may have gotten chipped or something there along with the paint. Looks like it's just a little bit of extra paint there, so it's not as bad as I thought. It's on the back of the figure, so it's not going to be so much of an issue for me. Now, one thing I did notice when I had shifted his belt down a little bit, I get some bad paint apps there, and I think it's from this rubbing up against that. So that might be normal for some of you guys' figures, where I see some of that reddish brown coming through on the yellow over here on this side. So you don't really want to move those around too much. You might want to position them so it's blocking any paint defects that you might see there. One thing to note is the extra fur or hair on his arms are done with the same color as the top of his head, so that looks really good. I like when we get the two-tone colors there. It's a nice detail of it. No paint on his legs, but then we get these fur bands here. Again, the same wash effect that was on his hair. Nice gold color here for the top of the boot, or what would be a boot, but you know, it's his bare foot. Again, these are the same as the Jackal feet, but we don't get the toenails painted like the Jackal figure was. But it's the same. But overall, a really good looking figure. Definitely one of the better ones from this wave. I think he will be high on my list, but that head sculpt is awesome. I think Hasbro did a great job. So really good figure. Get it if you guys need Kingpin, which of course he comes with the torso piece. And one cool thing is the jacket is removable like so, so you see the articulation that this guy has. But this thing is heavy. Heavy torso piece. So really excited to build Kingpin. So here is the Puma figure. One last look. If you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to let me know about that E on his belt. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that thumbs up button if you guys like the video. Stay tuned for the next video, and that's going to be the Symbiote Spider-Man. Can't wait for that one as well. Any Spider-Man figure I get really excited for. And of course, as always, thank you for watching.